Let's talk about microlearning. Is microlearning good? Is that a trend? Yes, it is. But is it really helping people to learn better? That's the question. What is microlearning? Microlearning is very popular today, and the core idea, as far as I understand it, is that educational institutions, online courses, any program that promises to teach you something, or where an online course that promises a certain skill, they tell you that you're going to learn a little bit every single day. And this little bit is really a tiny bit. You get a little bit of information every single day. You learn a mini lesson every single day so that you're not tired, you're not exhausted, and it's easy to keep up with the curriculum, and it's easy to track your own progress. Many people who are busy and who are probably taking a bunch of online courses at the same time say that it's a great idea. I don't need to feel overwhelmed with a lot of materials, with huge homework, and I can do a little bit every day. That sounds reasonable, and that sounds promising, and that sounds more like a relief. A person says to themselves probably, oh, that's something I can handle. What's the problem? Where's the catch with microlearning? I asked people around me, and maybe you are the kind of person who has already tried and experienced the approach. I asked people if they actually finished a course that promised this microlearning approach, if they learned anything with the help of that course that promised the microlearning approach. And 90% of people replied that they quit. Maybe some people quit after a week, some people quit after a month, but nobody actually stayed there to receive more micro lessons. They just got bored. I tried it myself because I'm an educator and I'm constantly looking at different methods, at different approaches. And on the one hand, yes, it's beautiful and it sounds so promising. You can do a little bit every day. But something was there that just, you have this feeling that something is wrong. You can't really describe it or explain it, but it's there. So I needed some time to understand what is it that's bugging me so much about that approach. And today it just hit me, so I decided I have to share it with you. I believe that the problem with the microlearning approach, at least the way I experience it, is that when you start, you're so thankful that somebody has taken care of it, that somebody is going to tell you what you need to do every day, and all you need to do is just open the app and do the lessons that's there. Somebody will even remind you to do your homework or to open the app. And then it gets annoying that somebody keeps reminding you to do your homework and open the app because you're busy, and somebody will remind you at the wrong moment. And yes, you can set up your notifications so that they remind you at the right moment, or so that they don't remind you at all. And then it gets boring because the content repeats, because the content is boring, or because the content is just not something you would like to do with your time. I never spent more, like an hour even. I never spent an hour, or for God's sake, 2 hours just sitting there and doing my English homework. I'm not the kind of person. It's very boring for me to sit down and do an exercise or do a grammar drill for 2 hours straight. So many people have this conviction that if they want to work on their English skills, they have to find 2 hours a day, preferably every day, 2 hours every day to improve their grammar, their English grammar, or their pronunciation, whatever. But people think that 2 hours is how much they need to spend if they really want to improve their fluency, or to improve their pronunciation, or improve their grammar, or just improve their English skills. I don't know where this is coming from, because this is not a realistic number. And the same people who said they have 2 hours a day could never commit to those 2 hours a day. And I could never commit either. I told you, for as long as I can remember, I was trying to force myself to sit down and do a grand exercise that will require a lot of time. And I could never, I could never make myself do that unless it's a writing task and unless I wanted to do it. And here is the big difference. This is the big difference. Microlearning approach means basically what they're telling you is you don't have to think. We're thinking for you. We're telling you, and we have already thought about it in advance, what you're going to learn, how you're going to learn, at what time during the day you're going to learn, what micro lessons you're going to learn. Imagine somebody tells you what to eat every day, and they tell you the size of your portion, and they tell you how many calories each meal needs to be, and they tell you at what time you're supposed to be hungry, they tell you at what hour you're supposed to be thirsty, they tell you that you're supposed to have breakfast at 7:30 a.m., and it doesn't matter that you wake up at 9, right? They tell you that you need to have dinner at 7 p.m., and it doesn't matter that you get back from work or that you finish work at 9 or that you're not hungry at 7. It feels a little bit like that. Somebody tells you, don't think about it. And I know that many people really like those dieting plans because they don't need to think about what they need to eat and they just follow the plan. But the question is, for how long can you follow it? Most people who follow such plans, they are driven by a goal of losing weight or gaining muscle, but it's a very clear, very often short-term goal that they want to achieve, and they agree to follow somebody's recommendations, especially if it's a coach or a dieting professional or a nutritionist. These people tell them what to eat, how much, what quality, how much protein, how much, they know that what micronutrients need to be in their food. That's a different story. I don't know, would this work for you? Think about it. What would you do? Can you follow a plan, if it's a very strict plan? Can you follow a diet, when somebody tells you what to eat every day? For how long would you follow such a strict diet where your schedule is not taken into consideration at all? Your personality is not taken into consideration. Your interests are not taken into consideration. Let's say you don't like fish, but according to the plan, you're supposed to eat seafood 3 times a day. Nobody cares. Microlearning is great if you can organize it for yourself. I've used that a lot, but I do something here and there. I see something and I immediately want to do it. I hear a beautiful song, I immediately want to listen to it again and I want to try to sing it along. I want to find the lyrics right away. I see a beautiful passage, I must read it out loud. I don't know, I'm reading a book and I'm inspired by an idea, so I have to write about it. And sometimes I will do it right away if I know that I know how much time it's going to take and I have this time right now. And on some days, I know what I want to do and I know what I want to write about. I just don't have the time required right now because writing is the most time-consuming task. So I will scribble a note, a handwritten note, to remind myself to go back to this idea later when I do have the time. The same applies to recipes. Let's say if I find an interesting recipe, but I don't have the time to make it right now, I'll simply save it to my Pinterest board, or I will save it in my notes. Whenever I have the right ingredients, whenever I have the time, whenever I'm in the right mood, I will remember to go back to it and make it. So if I see something that I want to do more of, or if I'm inspired by an exercise, by an idea, I will find the time, I will make the time to go back to it later in the future when I am in the right mood, when the time is right. The only difference is that I organize my own micro-learning system. I organize it myself. And it's micro-learning when I don't have the time and when I feel like it. And it doesn't need to be micro input when I feel I'm ready to do more. When I'm in the mood for more, I sit down and I spend an hour reading or writing or anything I feel like spending my hour on. And some days I will have the time only for a short workout, and I will do a short workout that is maybe 25 minutes long. And on some days I want to do 2 or 3 short workouts So, but it's never longer than 1 hour, 1 hour and 15 minutes with stretching maybe. I know exactly how much time my workouts take me. So it's easy for me to plan, depending on how I feel and depending on my schedule. The point I'm trying to make is that microlearning works if it really works for you. If you know that you are the kind of person who benefits from this approach and if you can organize it yourself. Again, 90% of people get bored because the content is not serving them. The content is no longer interesting. When you organize your own learning process, you are responsible for the content. All you need to understand is you need to understand what your structure needs to look like. What exercises are you supposed to be doing? How you're supposed to be doing them? What would it mean to complete the exercise and do it correctly? When you know what the structure looks like, it's easy to fill that structure with data, I would say, right? And the data is you, your personality, your interests, your schedule, your lifestyle, because nobody knows, even the most innovative, disrupting in world's first whatever app or learning system, they don't know so much about you as you know about yourself. And I believe the key to consistent, well-structured and deliberate practice is creativity. The app can be creative. I mean, the app can give you an illusion of creativity for some time, for as long as they have the content that interests you. But most apps, the problem with most educational apps is that they run out of content that might interest their users. And that's the biggest problem, content. Content is either irrelevant or it's not interesting, and users lose interest and they never understand if they're going in the right direction, and they can never understand if they're actually learning a skill or they're just using the app, because that's what the app founder wants you to do. They want you to give them your attention. They want you to use the app and spend your time on the app. If you know what you're doing, you don't need to spend your time on any app, or you spend your time deliberately on the app that serves you well. You know what app is doing what and how much time you're supposed to be there and what you're supposed to be doing. Creativity. No app can give you that creativity that your conscious self can do. Every day we're inspired by different things. Every day we experience different things. Every time new ideas come to mind, we come up with new ideas. There is novelty. So creativity is fueled by novelty. When you experience new things, this is actually your driver to come up with something new, to see something new, to notice the details that you otherwise wouldn't notice. Creativity. No app can do that for you. Just from my experience, I can tell you that I have seen the best results from understanding how I roll, how I learn, and what I want to pay attention to. If you pay attention to everything and you're just a receiver, a passive receiver of whatever content, you're not spending your time wisely and you're not learning, because learning is not consuming. Learning is a different process. Microlearning is not bad as long as you use your own data and you understand what you're doing and you know that micro lessons work for you and you know at what time of the day you should be planning them or you should be doing them. And you know how to track your own progress. When somebody decides for you what you need to learn at what time of the day, at some point it gets annoying and boring. And at some point they run out of content and then you're not learning anything anymore. Invest more time in learning about yourself. That's the best strategy. If you create content for your own lessons, you will never get bored of that. Thank you very much for watching. That's it for today, and I'll talk to you in the next videos.